Okay, everybody, we're going to pick up where we left off last time. Where we left off last time was we were showing how a zygote goes from 1 cell to 2 to 4 to 16 to 100 and so on. Eventually, it's going to implant into the lining of the uterus, and that's where we will begin today. Implantation. This is still considered first trimester. In human pregnancy, a trimester is 3 months. You have the first, second, and third. Okay, well, Melanie says at the end that the blastocyst is going to implant. Hannah, where does it implant into? What is that layer of tissue? The endometrium. So it occurs in the endometrium of the uterus. Noah, what hormones or what hormone singular should be maintaining the endometrium so it stays put? Very good. It is maintained by progesterone. Noah, where does conception take place? Very good. That means that where were you conceived? Probably. All right, now, upon implantation, the blastocyst burrows its way into the endometrium until it is covered. There's an expression that some women would say back in the day is that when they think that they might be pregnant, the expression was, I'm late. That means my period is late. It didn't happen when it's supposed to. And that either means that there could be pregnancy or menopause or maybe some sort of disorder, but possibly pregnancy, especially if she has recently had unprotected sex. Well, if you're trying to get pregnant, the last thing that a woman would want to see is any sort of blood. And so sometimes a woman may see just some light spotting. And for the guys that don't know what that is, perhaps just a few drops of blood on underwear, perhaps, or shorts. That is not uncommon if implantation did happen because of this burrowing into the endometrium. So if a woman goes to her physician and says, my husband and I are trying to get pregnant, we had sex like 2 weeks ago, and we're trying to find out, and I saw some light spotting on my clothes, should I be worried that we didn't get pregnant this cycle? And not necessarily. That spotting just may mean that it actually implanted. So some light spotting is not abnormal. Heavy flow, like you're actually on your period, that's probably a sign that you may not be pregnant this time. Okay, well, as I told my previous classes, guys, there's nothing in the rule book of life and nature that says bad things only happen to bad people. Some of you all probably know people that are very good, very nice. They've had some pretty bad luck. Well, on that theme, take this in. 2/3 of all blastocysts fail to implant. So after that week, it doesn't happen. This is called a spontaneous abortion. It just doesn't happen. Try again next month. Now, of that 1/3, that actually does implant. So of these successfully implanted blastocysts, 30% miscarry. This could be due to embryonic mutation, or excuse me, embryonic defects, or uterine defects in the mother. There are some women, there was a football player who played for the Cowboys and the Broncos. He and his wife, she got pregnant, but she can never, ever successfully have pregnancy. Like they had 4 or 5, maybe more failed pregnancies. Like she tested positive for her pregnancy test. Honey, I'm pregnant. What a great time, and then it fails. And then they try again. Honey, I'm pregnant again. Let's hope this one works. It fails. Honey, I'm pregnant for a third time. All right, let's really be careful this time. It fails. Sometimes, and this just goes to the unluck of the draw, some uteruses just can't do it. You know, that's what it means to be infertile. It's not just an egg problem. It could be a fallopian tube problem. It could be a uterus problem. It could be a lot of different things. I told you this on Wednesday. It takes so much good luck in order for a conception to happen, implantation to happen, and then a healthy 9 months of pregnancy where everything develops on time. It takes a lot of luck. So you guys should be very thankful that you're sitting here living and breathing and actually successfully made it. Thank your mom this weekend, right, Noah? Mother's Day. All right, well, let's move on. There's a hormone called, or a signal called HCG. This is known as human chorionic gonadotropin. This is what pregnancy tests actually detect in either a woman's urine or a woman's blood. So girls, you may have this one time in your life where your period didn't happen when you expected it to, and you're like, have I had unprotected sex lately? Oh yeah. Take a pregnancy test, pee on the stick, take a blood test, whichever type you get. Oh, well, here we go. Right, Noah? Okay. You're being a good sport today. These hormone levels help to regulate estrogen and progesterone. HCG is produced by the embryo, and it encourages estrogen and progesterone secretion. Or how about we say levels? So you generally don't get this when you don't have a bun in the oven because you're not having HCG. There's nothing there actually making the HCG. All right, finally, before we get to the placenta, the corpus luteum lasts for about 3 months. That's about the first trimester. And now you have something new that will take over for the corpus luteum for the rest of your pregnancy. It is called a placenta. And the word placenta literally means flat cake. Have any of you ever seen a placenta before? What does it look like, Jackie? Have you seen one in person or just on media? In media, okay. What does it look like? Veiny, it's big. I'll show you guys some pictures of it today. This is what we're going to be going for next. So let me switch over to the internet. Make sure I switch back. Hold on a sec. Here we go. All right, so let's see if I have a picture of a placenta up. No, that's not it. Here, I'll Google it. Human placenta. All right, so if you've never seen a placenta, here it is. That's it. Really? That's a little much, isn't it? What is that tube that was written in? I mean, oh, humans, guys. What is that tube? That's the umbilical cord. There's another picture. There's another one where somebody makes a heart. I want to see that. Wow, they wrote love with their meat patty. Where's the heart? I gotta find that. It's ridiculous. No, you're gonna take a little photo that says love when your kid is born. Eat it for dinner. Where is the placenta that had, somebody made a little heart with it? I gotta find that one. Yeah, it was. There's a picture. Look at that. I see it. Oh, there it is. So, my future sister-in-law gave birth back in August, and they said that when the baby was born, they laid the placenta out on a table, and the nurse or a doctor examines it to make sure nothing is wrong with it, because this is the baby's lifeline. This is the middleman between the mother and the child. Whatever the mother eats, baby eats. Whatever the mother drinks, baby drinks. Whatever the mother inhales, baby inhales. It goes through its blood and lungs. And whatever the baby releases, like urine and carbon dioxide and waste, it goes through this tube. And so, guys, when you were born, you typically, unless you were a C-section baby, you were born head first, and then your shoulders come out, then the rest of you comes out. And then what the doctor does is they pull on this cord, and out comes your placenta. Some people call this the afterbirth. And they have to check the placenta to make sure everything was fine. Okay, yeah.
Does the fluid go into the placenta?
It's mostly urine. When a baby poops, it's not poop like you think. It's really just almost like liquid waste. A baby's poop in the first few months of their life looks like mustard. It's not what you think of when you think of poop. So it can easily pass through the placenta. Yes.
Yeah, that's how it's attached to our belly buttons. How do people have innies versus outies?
I don't know. I've wondered that. How do people have innies versus outies? And one thing is they might have a hernia, might be poking out. But I will say that one of the stages of pregnancy, Isabella, is that if you have an innie, your little baby's going to push it out, and you'll have an outie for a little while. It might be, and I honestly don't know, but I've always wondered that. Like, why do some people have innies versus outies? All right, let's continue. Let's move on to the placenta, okay? All right. Its formation is titled placentation. It actually begins its development early in pregnancy, but it's really not ready until 3 months. So until your placenta is ready to do its job, your corpus luteum really helps sustain the pregnancy. The placenta is a pancake-shaped temporary organ. It is weird. Pancake, you'll never look at a pancake again. The same again. It originates from both the mother and the embryo. So it's kind of halvesies. It functions in multiple ways. It functions as a organ of the nutritive, which means like food, vitamins, minerals, carbs, sugars. Respiratory, it provides oxygen. It gets rid of CO2. Excretory, urine. And then endocrine, which is hormones. So long as the baby is still attached to the umbilical cord, the placenta and the mother are doing a lot of the work for the child. Once they cut that cord, it will need to be able to eat and breathe and drink on its own. And so something I was going to tell you guys later, but I'll tell you now because we're on it. When a baby's born, one of the first things they do is they have this little squeezer tool, and they suction moisture out of the baby's nostrils and mouth and out of his throat so it can breathe on its own. Because once you cut that cord, you're on your own. Okay. This, and I'll write this one out. You guys already know this. You'll love this. It is also removed from the uterus upon birth. And if you're feeling really froggy, you can go ahead and write love with your baby's umbilical cord in. placenta. That was weird. I think Isabella's gonna have a baby one day, and she's gonna write. You're gonna write ew with your umbilical cord. Ew. Okay. The next thing I'd like to show you guys is the amniotic sac and fluid. So I mentioned a moment ago that when a baby is born, you have to suction moisture out of their nose and out of their mouth. This fluid is called amniotic fluid. If you have ever heard the expression, my water broke, that is the amniotic fluid. So this sac is what contains a developing fetus. You are all in this sac for the entire pregnancy up to the very end. And the fluid is within the sac. So if you've ever seen movies like Star Wars or The Matrix, where you got these people kind of just floating in goo, healing or being preserved, that's what the amniotic fluid basically is. It allows a medium for you to grow and expand and get bigger. So I do have a video, Isabella, it's okay, of a baby born in the amniotic sac. So before I show you the video, let's see if I can just find a picture. Okay, let's switch over. All right, there. All right, check this out. That is a very early stage of a fetus. That big sac is the amniotic sac, and inside is the fetus. That fluid is the amniotic fluid. And when a baby gets to be so big that they rupture the sac and the fluid flows out of the mother, they say, my water broke. It basically is like the microwave timer going off saying it's done. Here's a larger fetus with the amniotic sac still preserved. All right, so I'm going to pause this recording for a second. I want to show you guys this video of a baby born still in the sac. So let's do that. Okay, so we just watched a video of a baby being born while it was still in the amniotic sac. And then we saw another video of a baby being born in the amniotic sac, and then they cut the sac out, or they pop the bag, as they say in the medical circles, outside the body, and then the fluid spilled everywhere. All right. Next part, guys, let's move on to, hold on, make sure I'm still, okay. Let's do Gastulation. You've likely never heard this word before. Some of you may have heard of amniotic sac, and some of you may have heard of the placenta. I doubt anyone has ever heard of Gastulation. So this typically occurs around week 3. So early in the pregnancy, very early. We're going to start with a 2-layered blastocyst. If you recall what I did at the beginning of class, this 2-layered blastocyst is right there. You see that? 2 layers, the yellow and the green. Well, this 2-layered blastocyst is going to become a 3-layered embryo. These 3 layers are called germ layers. I'm going to color coordinate them, all right? The outer layer is called the ectoderm. Ecto means outer, like those turtles on the pond are ectotherms. They get their body heat from the outside, like a hot rock or the sun. So this is the outer layer. The middle layer is called the mesoderm. Meso means middle. And the, I should probably use a different color. Let's see, I'll use lime green. The inner layer is called the endoderm. Endo means inside. So this does have 3 layers, guys, but one other thing I want to be sure you remember, and I've used this word before, the ball of cells, which is basically what a blastocyst is, the ball of cells invaginates. If you were to invaginate something, I want to try to have you seal this. Imagine you had a ball of Play-Doh the size of your head. You got it? Now you put your finger and you push your finger into that ball of Play-Doh. That is an invagination. If you push your foot deep down into the mud, that's also an example of invagination. It's basically something's being pushed in. And that's what this blastula experiences. This whole invagination is known as gastrulation. So I'm going to draw this now for you. Here we go. Red is going to be my outer layer. Let's begin. Blue is the inner layer. Oh no, I'm sorry. Darn it. Green is the inner layer. And then I'm not going to draw a bunch of cells, guys, because I'm going to be here all day. Just pretend that all this blue is cells. This is the middle layer. These are the 3 layers of a embryo. So we got the endoderm. We have the, darn, I messed up again. No one calls me out on this. This, I've been doing different colors all day. I'd used blue for the endoderm earlier. This is the endoderm. This is the mesoderm. This is the ectoderm. These 3 germ layers actually are going to be the forebearer of a lot of your body parts, just this. Now, this opening in here, that is called a blastopore. And this is actually your first body part, Noah. This is the first one. Do any of you know what this becomes? Week 3, what is this? This is your anus. And I'm not talking about the planet. We are a type of organism known as a deuterostome. And deuterostomes form their anus first. The opposite of a deuterostome is a protostome. Protostomes would form their mouth first. And an example of that is a sea star. So I remember when I was in high school taking this class, and we learned this, I just remember deuterostome, duty, anus. Get it? So this will continue to shape, and it's going to form your first organ system. And we're talking early, again, week 3. Did I mess up again? I did, didn't I? Well, my notes is blue. I should have stuck with my notes rather than change it up. This should be green. All this is blue. Let's do that. There we go. Okay, so if this first part here is your anus, what's the opposite of your anus? What's on the other end of your digestive system? This is your mouth. And all of this in here is going to be your gut. This will later become your esophagus, your stomach, and your intestines, both small and large. So if you want to know what your first body part that you ever develop is, it is your anus. The second one is your mouth, and the space in between is going to be your digestive system.
What's it called?
A deuterostome. The opposite of a deuterostome is a protostome. An example of that is a sea star. All right, we have about 10 minutes left. I want you guys to scroll back up, and I want you to identify what these parts, what these germ layers actually will become. So let's start with the ectoderm. The ectoderm will give rise to the nervous system and skin. So we're talking weeks and months later. That's what it will become, or give rise to, I should say. The endoderm will give rise to the digestive system, the respiratory system, the urogenital system. This is your urinary and reproductive system, and glands. And then the mesoderm is going to basically be responsible for everything else I didn't say, like your cardiovascular system, muscles, endocrine. No, not endocrine. Yeah, endocrine. Okay. And what I would like to do for the rest of our time in class is I want to actually map out what happens in each trimester. Now, this class might get through all 3 trimesters. You guys have been doing really well with your time. My other classes didn't, but let's just see how far we can get. So let's go over stages of pregnancy. All right. Once you draw a little table, looks like this. Here we have month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here we have first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. The first trimester is going to be weeks 1 through 13. That's what I'm hoping for us to at least get through today. The second trimester is going to be weeks 14 through 27. And then the last trimester is going to be weeks 28 through 40. So rather than go through each individual stage, let's try to clump it together. I want to give you some of the big milestones here, both when it comes to the mother and the baby. Hopefully you can differentiate both. So when I say morning sickness, know that that's the mother. Frequent urination, that would be the mother, not the baby. All right, so in the first trimester, I'm going to try to keep it in order here, guys. You actually have ovulation, conception, implantation, and gastrulation. Everything that we've mentioned so far. Ovulation, conception, implantation, and gastrulation. Now, I have an interesting fact for you. In the first 2 weeks of pregnancy, you technically are not pregnant. However, physicians and practitioners tend to say that your first week of pregnancy is the first day of your last period. So imagine this. You are on day 7 in your entire menstrual cycle. You haven't even had sex yet. And this is still going to be counted towards your 9 months of pregnancy. That first week where you're not even ovulated yet, you have not even released an egg. And that is considered the first week of pregnancy. What they're saying is that this is going to be the one. This is going to be the cycle that will have you be pregnant. Okay. Let's see. We got placenta forms. Amniotic sac forms. See what else we got. I'll do all the things with the little human first, then we'll move on to the mother. This pregnancy is producing HCG. So will it or will it not be detected by a pregnancy test? It will be. So this is detectable in a pregnancy test. Let's see. You have a heart, brain, pretty much all organ systems. But here's the thing, guys. I want you to understand this very much. Just because you have your organ systems established doesn't mean that they're working properly. A baby bird has wings, but can a baby bird fly? No. So you have little lungs. I want you to look at the sheet of paper I gave you that has a 5-week-old embryo. I want you to look at what I pointed to. Esophagus, pancreas, stomach, intestine, large intestine, small intestine, trachea, and so on. They are there, but they definitely cannot survive outside the body. Definitely not. So what we call that is non-viable. If you pull that out of the womb, it cannot survive. So it needs to stay in the womb. So all organ systems are developed, or I shouldn't say are developed, wrong word. They are formed, but they still have a lot of growing to do, okay? And then at week 10, you are considered a fetus. Let me tell you the difference between an embryo and a fetus. An embryo is a blank slate. There was nothing there. A fetus has everything. It just needs to grow. All right. When you're an embryo, there was a point you had no heart, you had no brain, you had no lungs, you had nothing. You were just a ball of cells. A fetus has all that stuff. It just needs to grow and grow and grow. So at week 10, you are a fetus. Now, as far as what the mother goes through, write this down. Be thankful for your mothers this weekend. It's Mother's Day this weekend. Mothers have heightened smell. My sister said when she was pregnant, she could smell water. Huh? How do you smell water? I don't know. You got abdominal pressure. Tender breasts. They're pretty sore. Heartburn. Nausea. Frequent urination. There's an expression, I have to pee like a pregnant woman. Generally no baby bump yet. You know, you see the mom's little belly starting to show. Not here, not yet. And one last thing I'll end with today, guys. In a lot of books for expecting mothers, they'll say, this week, your baby is the size of a papaya. All these weird fruits. Well, here's what I'll just give you the skinny on. You go from being a zygote, which is one cell, to the size of a line, which is 3 inches long. That's pretty much the growth that you can expect in the first trimester. And we will have to stop there. We'll finish this on Monday. And on Monday, I'll tell you what some changes that the mother goes through. And I'll show you a live birth, a C-section birth, and that'll be it for pregnancy. And then on Tuesday,